Hi everybody, I'm Tom Lipscomb, the Director of Distance Learning at Bennett College, and I want to give you a tutorial on how to use Gradebook with the point system in Moodle. We have a Bennett Moodle school site which our students and faculty and staff on occasion use to keep everything in order for our classes. And what I want to do is show you some of the lessons that we have set up for an orientation class. This is a class that has 5 sections, and all of our first year students take these classes. And we've set up a series of assignments that we've already built within this class. And if we go down to the bottom left-hand corner under our course administration, I want to go to the gradebook setup and show you what's just happened already by default. So what's happened is that we look and there's all of these assignments have been set up, and they're just in the general category orientation. So they're all in one big list, and there's no differentiation. Now, if I was doing an average system, I could create down here different categories like quizzes, homework, reading responses. You could create another system there, and then assignments would average relative to other types of the same assignment. But this is a different type of system we're going to do now using points. And I want you to see on this side, I want to take you on a little side trail right now, because as you'll see, some of these grades are more than 100 points. So this took me a little while to figure out, but fortunately, other people had already figured this out on a forum that I was able to look at. So I've got this other tab opened up. Let me show you how I get here. If I just go out, and I'm an administrator now to this site, so you might run into this problem and need to talk to somebody in IT or one of your administrators to kind of figure out how to solve it if you're having a problem of trying to set up point values that are more than 100. So let's look. If I go into site administration, and now I'm going to go down to the grade settings, and under general settings under grades, I go down to the bottom. And there's this thing that is usually set up like this. It says grade point maximum 100. That's what it's set up to default. So if we were under that, if I wanted to do, say, a midterm worth 250 points, that would create some problems for me in terms of the calculations. So I changed that to 1,000, but it could be anything. Also, if there's ever a case where I have an activity and I don't want it to be graded with points, then there's a thing right here that says show minimum grade. I like to have that unchecked in case I want to have sort of a 0-point activity. Maybe I want the students to do something, but I don't want it to be 4 grades, but I kind of want it still along with the other assignments because it is important and I want them to do it. And they can still, in their checklist, go over it. And when I say checklist, what I mean is within the OR class, on the right, I like for students to be able to check activities as they've completed them so they can see that they've done everything they need to do for a week. Some things, as you notice on the right, do not have check boxes. For instance, this is a tutorial for how to create an Evite invitation, something for them to use as reference, but they don't have to finish anything or be graded on anything, as opposed to things on here where they're turning something in. So this is more of reference. So just looking through what we have here, different sorts of assignment. Here are some reflection papers. These are Word documents that would be uploaded into this area. Attendance, I have a way of grading that. And there are these special academic success seminars, and I've set up attendance activities for those too so that you can calculate that. Also, there's a reflection that they're writing where they're going to be communicating with each other. So there's some different types of activities in here. Now, what I want to show you is if I can find an area where they're turning something larger, a larger document in. This is the final exam, and we're having them turn in a final exam presentation, which might be in a PowerPoint file, so it's kind of big. So what I've done in this is I have created a Dropbox link. Now, how I did that was a URL activity. So basically, the students would just hit choose files, and they can go and upload their presentation before they present it in class so that the projects can be loaded in advance of them getting to the class, so we can save some running around at that point. And how I got there is what I did is I just created a URL. But when you create these URL links, they don't automatically go into the gradebook. So what I'm going to do with my final exam is I'm going to manually enter that into my gradebook. So let's go over here, and let's go back to my gradebook setup, and I'm going to go add a graded item. I'm going to go final exam presentation. The value, maximum grade, and remember what I set up before. I was talking about how it's hard to go over 100, or you can't go over 100 when you're set on the default. This one's actually be a 250 point final, being that it's much more important than a regular activity. So as I save the changes, then I'm going to go down here and look, we're at 2,500 points. All right, so let's just, so that we practice how to do that with another type of activity, let's go back into our course, and I'm going to make the midterm. And this is a more typical type of way that you might create an assignment. So what I'm going to do now is, here's our midterm exam. Let's copy this. And let's delete this activity. Okay, so there's no midterm anymore. And now what we'll see is we're going to go back to the grade book, and we're back to 2,350 points. So I know something's missing because I started from this on paper list of all of the assignments that adding up to 2,500 points. And in the gradebook area, as I see, because I deleted the midterm, I'm down to 2,350. So we've got to put that midterm back in. So we're going back into the course, going back into October for the midterm exam. I'm going to add an activity and a resource, and I'm going to add it as an assignment. Now I'm going to put the description of the assignment. I'm going to have this description display on the course page, and I'm going to call this midterm essay. Okay, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to show you what happens if I don't mess with the settings. Now when I go back to my gradebook setup, it dropped it in as a 100-point item. So now we're only at 2,450. So what makes us be able to change the point values after we've allowed it in the site administration is by going to the midterm. I'm going to go back in and edit the midterm. So when you're creating one of these activities, what you want to make sure that you do is under grading, maximum grade 150. And then that's going to get us to 2,500 points. So if you look here, back into the setup, we're back to 2,500 points. Again, that's one of those activities that did things automatically. Back to 2,500 points. That's an activity that populated into the grade book automatically. So you have to make sure that you populate the grade book with activities that don't go naturally in. So I want to create one more problem, and then we'll pretty much be done with this tutorial. I want to go back in here and show you. So I have this checklist activity, which I found is a really cool activity, and they have to select from a list of people that they're going to do their final research project on. Now, it's not due till here, so if I click this, this will be a checklist, and it'll have all these people down there that they can choose to do a research project on. But I want to do something. I want to make a duplicate of this activity, because I want to put this activity back in the very first week when we're introducing the course, way back here we're introducing this course in the first day of class. So what I want to do here is I'm going to change the name Notable Bell List. So at this point, the students don't have to select, but they just can look at it. So it's the exact same activity. And since I created a duplication, if we look down in our grade book, the old one I slotted at 50 points. So when they make that selection, it's going to be worth 50 points to their grade. But here's the problem I've just created. When we go down to the grade book, you see Notable Bell List is now slated at 50 points also. I didn't want that. I wanted the Notable Bell List to just be something to look at that wouldn't be graded up until they make the actual selection. So as I go back to this initial thing, the Notable List, singular, what I want to do is I'm going to go Edit Settings, and then go back into grades, the maximum grade. I'm going to set this at 0. So it's going to be in there, and then I'm going to go back now to my gradebook setup, and the Notable Bell selection is there, but not Notable Bell List, because when the grade value went down to 0, then that thing went away. It doesn't keep things in this list that has a 0 grade value. So if Moodle is automatically putting things in there that you don't want to be graded by points, you can set them at a 0 point value, and then we're at 2,500 points. I just want to show you one more quick thing, and then I'll get out of here. If we go back to the course, I want the students to kind of keep track under this system. With averages in the other way of doing the grades, where they're averaging, it can be a little easier for them sometime to maintain. They know if they got a test of a 95 and an 85, and then they got an 82 and a 90, that they're in the B+ range. They kind of have a sense of it. But how to keep track of this? So I created this activity in here, a grading scale, and then as they collect points, they can just continue to monitor it. So throughout the semester, they'll be able to see how close they get to 100%. And I just went down to the amount of points needed for an A. So if they get to midterm and they're halfway to getting an A, keeping in mind that the larger ticket items sometimes come up at the end of the semester, then that's an indication to them like, okay, well, you need to be about halfway done by midterm, or you're in good shape. If it gets to the very end of the semester and they're sitting here, then that's another warning sign too. Hopefully this would let a student not let herself get in such a predicament before the end of the semester. So that's just a way they can tabulate things as they go within the point system. Please give me a call if you have any questions about anything. My office number is 336-517-2304, and it will often forward to my cell phone. And you can also reach me at TLIPSCOMB@bennett.edu. I'm happy to help you work on anything you're working on with Moodle.